podcast. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that's been on everyone's mind for the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been a truly transformative event, affecting nearly every aspect of our lives, from global health to the economy. So let's unpack this complex story, starting with how this pandemic unfolded.
Oh, absolutely. This is a topic that's been heavily discussed everywhere, but I think a structured breakdown like this is exactly what we need. So where did it all begin? How did this pandemic become such a global phenomenon?
Well, it all started in late 2019, right? This virus, which they call SARS-CoV-2, emerged and quickly spread worldwide, mainly through respiratory droplets. This, the kind that come out when someone coughs or sneezes. I remember seeing all the news reports and thinking, this is serious.
I remember that. It felt like things escalated so quickly, and the symptoms, they ranged from mild, like a cold, to severe respiratory issues, which sadly resulted in millions of deaths globally. It was truly heartbreaking.
You're right. It was a very difficult time for everyone, and governments had to act fast. They implemented lockdowns, mask mandates, social distancing, all to try and stop the spread. But these measures also had a huge impact on our daily lives, on the economy, and even on people's mental health, as people were separated from their loved ones and communities. It was a tough balance to strike, saving lives while also trying to maintain some sense of normalcy.
Absolutely. And it was fascinating to see how different countries handled the pandemic. Some were more proactive, others more reactive. What were some of the main ways this pandemic changed the global economy? It impacted things in a huge way, right?
Oh, it did. It was like a domino effect. Travel, hospitality, and retail businesses, they were hit the hardest, with many facing closures. A lot of people lost their jobs, and it was truly a challenging time. But on the other hand, there were industries that actually saw significant growth, like technology, healthcare, and online services. People were relying on those services more than ever. It was a mixed bag, but the impact was undeniable.
It's amazing to see how this pandemic exposed vulnerabilities in our global supply chains, with shortages of essential goods and even medical supplies. I remember the scramble for masks and sanitizers. It was crazy. How did governments respond to this economic fallout?
Well, governments around the world really stepped up. They put together stimulus packages and financial aid programs to help businesses and individuals affected by the crisis. But to be honest, the economic recovery has been slow and uneven. It's not a quick fix, especially considering the global scale of this pandemic.
It's clear that this pandemic highlighted the importance of science and collaboration. Tell me, what were some of the major breakthroughs in scientific research during this time? Scientists were working tirelessly to understand the virus and develop vaccines.
Exactly. Scientists around the world really came together. They were working at an unprecedented pace to understand the virus, develop diagnostic tests, and create vaccines. It was truly remarkable. Vaccination efforts began in late 2020, and the goal was to achieve herd immunity and prevent further spread. And it was a huge relief when these vaccines came out. It was a glimmer of hope.
Absolutely. It was like a huge sigh of relief. But there were still challenges, like ensuring vaccine accessibility in low-income countries and the emergence of new variants of the virus. It's a constant battle, right?
You're right. It's a constant evolution. But despite the challenges, the situation has definitely improved in many places. We've learned a lot from this experience, and it's clear that we need global cooperation in tackling health crises and strengthening public health infrastructure to better handle future pandemics. We're still dealing with the aftermath of this pandemic, but we've also gained valuable insights and lessons that will help us prepare for whatever comes next.
Definitely. The COVID-19 pandemic also changed how we work and interact. It's impossible to ignore the impact on remote work. What was that transition like? It was quite drastic, right?
It was a whirlwind. With social distancing guidelines, remote work became the norm for many employees, leading to a huge shift to digital platforms. Video conferencing, cloud storage, project management tools, they all became essential. It was a digital revolution. And while remote work offered flexibility and reduced commuting time, it also brought new challenges, like maintaining work-life balance, managing virtual teams, and ensuring cybersecurity. It was a whole new world, and we were all trying to navigate it.
That's a really interesting point. It sounds like remote work is here to stay, even after the pandemic. Many companies have adopted hybrid models, blending in-office and remote work. What about the impact on education? Schools had to go online pretty quickly, right?
It was a really sudden shift, and it posed a huge challenge for students, educators, and institutions. Many were unprepared for this digital shift. Access to technology, engagement, and internet access, these all became major concerns. It created a lot of inequalities in education, but it also prompted innovations. Virtual classrooms, e-learning resources, and new assessment methods emerged. We had to adapt and learn new ways of teaching and learning. And as a result, some institutions are now incorporating online learning into their regular curriculum.
It's interesting how the pandemic shed light on the importance of strong public health systems. What were some of the main challenges faced by healthcare workers during this time? It must have been incredibly stressful, right? It was incredibly demanding. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and healthcare workers were under immense pressure, facing a constant stream of COVID-19 patients. The pandemic exposed gaps in healthcare infrastructure, like shortages in medical supplies and inadequate staffing. It was a race against time. Governments and health organizations had to quickly adapt, implementing mass testing, contact tracing, and quarantine measures to control the spread. We've learned from this experience, and it's led to a renewed focus on strengthening public health systems, improving preparedness for future health emergencies, and ensuring equitable access to healthcare services globally. This pandemic also led to a lot of scientific discoveries about coronaviruses, right? What did we learn about the biology of SARS-CoV-2?
It was a huge learning curve. We learned about the virus's ability to bind to ACE2 receptors in different parts of the body, including the lungs, heart, kidneys. This interaction is key to the virus's replication and the development of symptoms. This knowledge has helped us develop targeted vaccines and treatments, like mRNA vaccines, which teach our cells how to produce a spike protein similar to the viruses, leading to an immune response without actually getting sick. It's been a game changer in the field of immunology.
That's incredible. It's a truly remarkable achievement. But we've also learned that SARS-CoV-2 can cause systemic issues affecting multiple organs. What are some of the long-term effects we're seeing?
It's definitely something that worries scientists and healthcare professionals. Some patients experience long-term symptoms, often referred to as long COVID, which can include neurological symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, memory loss. Research is still ongoing to understand these long-term effects. We're still trying to figure out what's happening and why. It's a very complex issue.
Well, thanks for sharing your insights on the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been a truly impactful event, and it's important to understand its long-term implications. It's clear that this event has changed the world in profound ways, and its influence will continue to be felt for years to come. But it's also a reminder of our collective resilience and the power of scientific innovation.